The first tire popped with a sound like a gunshot echoing through the trees, and for a split second I thought it was a hunter firing too close to my cabin. Then came the second pop, sharper, angrier, followed by the ugly scrape of rubber tearing itself apart. I stood at the edge of the clearing, breath fogging in the cold Alberta air, and watched the black SUV lurch sideways like a wounded animal. That was the moment I knew this wasn't just trespassing anymore. This was going to change everything. That land had been in my family for 3 generations. My grandfather bought it after returning from Europe with nothing but a duffel bag and a promise to himself that he'd never let anyone push him around again. He built the cabin with his own hands, taught my father how to hunt there, and eventually taught me. It wasn't just hunting land. It was memory, sweat, grief, laughter, and quiet mornings where the world felt simple and fair. Every fence post, every trail, every stand had a story attached to it. The HOA from the nearby luxury development had always acted like the forest belonged to them. Big homes, shiny trucks, weekend warriors who liked the idea of nature as long as it behaved and stayed out of their way. They complained about gunshots during hunting season, even though we'd been there decades before the first foundation was poured. They sent letters, then warnings, then one final notice claiming community safety concerns. I ignored it. The law was clear. This was private land, properly marked, registered, no debate. That morning, I was checking trail cameras when I heard engines where there shouldn't be any. 2 vehicles, loud, careless, pushing through brush like they owned the place. I felt that familiar mix of anger and sadness settle in my chest. I had installed a spike strip months earlier, deep on a service trail, clearly past multiple no trespassing signs. It wasn't meant to hurt anyone, just to stop ATVs and trucks from tearing up the land and scaring off game. Anyone who didn't belong there would never reach it. But they did. When the SUV finally stopped, one of the men jumped out shouting, red-faced, waving his arms like I'd personally attacked him. Another woman followed, phone already recording, voice shaking with outrage. They kept yelling about lawsuits, about being HOA board members, about how I had endangered them. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. I just pointed to the sign 10 feet behind them, half buried in snow but impossible to miss. Something in their faces shifted then. Not guilt, fear, the kind that comes when people realize the rules don't bend for them out here. The RCMP arrived about 40 minutes later. Long enough for the adrenaline to fade and the weight of the moment to sink in. I explained everything calmly. The officer walked the trail, photographed the signage, the strip, the tire damage. He asked one question that stuck with me. Why were they here? No one had a good answer. While statements were taken, I noticed the woman from the SUV had stopped recording. She was staring at the trees, the quiet, the sheer size of the place. Maybe for the first time she understood this wasn't a park or a backdrop. It was someone's life. In the weeks that followed, the HOA tried everything. Threatening letters, legal posturing, online posts painting me as dangerous. But the law didn't move. Trespassing is trespassing, whether you wear camo or a blazer. The case was dismissed before it ever reached court. The HOA paid for their own damages. The trail was left alone after that. What surprised me wasn't the victory. It was how tired I felt afterward. Standing up for yourself takes something out of you, even when you're right. One evening, I sat in the cabin, fire crackling, my father's old rifle leaning against the wall, and I thought about how close I'd come to losing this place to noise and entitlement. How easily silence can be stolen if no one protects it. The next hunting season, a young father and his daughter asked permission to hunt the far edge of the property. They were respectful, nervous, clearly new to it all. I walked them to a safe spot, showed the girl how to read tracks, watched her eyes light up when she spotted a deer trail. That moment mattered more than any argument ever could. Land isn't just soil and trees. It's responsibility. It's knowing when to stand firm and when to open the gate. The HOA learned a hard lesson that day, but so did I. Not every battle needs shouting. Sometimes all it takes is holding your ground, trusting the truth, and letting the forest speak for itself.